Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rines, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This is one of over 80 episodes released monthly for your enjoyment. Now, let's get into this episode.
A fiery horse with a speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo silver. The Lone Ranger. His faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains, led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! Let's go, big fellow! Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
Lights burned late at night in the study of the governor's mansion in Texas. The governor was admitting a tall man through a French door.
You're right on time, sir.
It was good of you to admit me at this hour.
I decided to see you after studying the documents. Please sit down.
Thank you.
You saw the signal light I placed in the window?
Yes, sir.
The documents and affidavits seem to prove conclusively that the Indian trouble of a year ago was not the fault of those men from San Antonio.
That Indian fight was brought about by a crafty schemer who hoped to seize the property of the Texans after they had been jailed for violating the Indian Peace Pact.
Yes. I read the deathbed confession of that schemer. It casts a new light on the entire affair. I am deeply indebted to the man called the Lone Ranger, for sending me the evidence. And I might add that it was his intercession with the Indians after the violation of that pact that prevented a very serious uprising.
The law has been looking for those Texans for a long time.
I understand they left the country, went to Mexico.
Yes, they did.
This letter from the Lone Ranger expresses a hope that I will see fit to grant pardons to those men so they will return to San Antonio.
Yes.
The message said you would come here tonight for my answer. You were sent by the Lone Ranger?
You received something with that letter by way of identification.
I did. It was a silver bullet.
Like this one?
Why, yes.
I thought I might be seen by some members of your staff or family who would be curious about a masked man.
Then you are the Lone Ranger.
Your Excellency, I may or may not be wearing a disguise. Please don't try to find out.
Texas, as well as the nation, is deeply indebted to you for all you have done.
If there's any debt, it's the one that is owed by this state to the men who had to flee from their homes in San Antonio.
I shall pardon those men on the strength of this evidence, which, incidentally, I have checked. But who knows where they are?
They're on the Jekyll Ranch.
Jekyll. I've heard of him. He was a renegade from the States.
Yes.
He went to Mexico and secured a lot of land in an old castle. In some way, he has won high favor with the Mexican authorities. He's said to be very wealthy.
His place is surrounded by a high fence and patrolled by guards. Inside that fence, men and women work as slaves. That's where the men and their families from San Antonio have gone.
But they would have been safe from arrest anywhere in Mexico. Why in the world did they become slaves on the Jekyll Ranch?
That's a mystery I'd like to solve. Many people have become slaves on the Jekyll Ranch, and none have ever left. It will be difficult to get to them and more difficult to get them out of there. But if they can be offered a chance to return to their homes as free people,
In the name of mercy, go then. Go and tell them Texas wants them, that Texas needs them. And take to them their pardons.
Get up, you lazy hound. Get up and get to work. Jekyll isn't paying you to sit in the sunshine.
But Can't you see that Jim is sick?
This whip is good medicine.
The cruelest of men supervised the work on Jekyll's ranch. Men, women, and children were forced to toil long hours for a meager living. The hopelessness of their position had broken the spirit of the strongest men.
Now, let there be a lesson to you.
Jim is sick.
Throw some water on him. Tell him to get back to work.
Hey, Butch. Mr. Jekyll wants to see you right away.
All right, Joe. Where is he?
In his office in the tower. You gotta go right up.
A winding stairway led to the tower room in the old castle that Jekyll had made his home.
Come right in, Butch. I'm waiting for you.
Say, Mr. Jekyll, this is quite a room you got up here. This is the first time I've seen it.
I have to know a man quite well before I let him into this room. I've been observing you since you came to work for me.
Yeah?
I've watched you handle a whip and drive the others at their work. I've investigated your crooked background in the States. Butch, you're utterly bad.
Now, Mr. Jekyll...
Just the kind of man I need.
Oh.
I'm going to give you a job that'll make you rich.
What about Peterson and Martin and all the others from Texas? They're dodging the law, but I don't see them getting rich.
Well, they're not really bad. When I dropped a hint about my business, they were unwilling to cooperate. So I've kept them suppressed.
But, what about me?
Here's a package of money.
There must be thousands here.
It's counterfeit.
You mean to say these bills are counterfeit?
Beyond that door is a printing press together with ink and other essentials.
So that's your game. You're making counterfeit money.
United States currency is easily spent here in Mexico. It's $10,000 in that package. Take a trip. Spend freely and convert that into genuine money. When you return, I shall expect $5,000 in silver or gold. What you don't spend, you may keep.
Thanks. You're all right, Mr. Jekyll.
I am, as long as I'm not crossed.
What's the matter? You see something out the window?
2 horsemen have just ridden up. I wonder how they got past the guards.
I don't know.
They've stopped at one of the shacks. Who lives there?
That's Martin's shack. There's a bell. It's time for the men to quit work in the fields.
Come with me, Butch. We'll see who's calling on Matt Martin and why.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto had used desperate measures to get onto the Jekyll Ranch. They had ridden boldly up to the gate and knocked down and tied the guard. Both men were alert for trouble as they dismounted near one of the crude shacks.
That bell must have been the signal to stop work. People are leaving the fields.
Old man and woman come this way.
We'll see if they know anything about the people from Texas. Tonto, that's Matt Martin and his wife. Remember them? Oh, but they're young.
Them look plenty old now.
I can't believe people could change so in a year. Matt Martin.
Hello. You better go away if you can.
But don't you remember me? We met in San Antonio. You wanted to know why I wore a mask. I gave you a silver bullet.
Don't stay here.
Mary, you remember me. You made coffee for Tonto and me.
I know who you are, but go away.
We're not allowed to talk to strangers. Mr. Jekyll
I've brought you good news. Jekyll is no longer running your life. You're free.
No, we can't leave. We tried it once in the guards' quarters.
We'll be whipped for talking to you.
Please go. We don't want to be lashed like Peterson was.
So look here, Martin. See what I have. This is a pardon signed by the governor of Texas. He sent me to bring you back. You and all the men who came here with you.
No, it's too late. It's too late.
What?
We're licked. Jekyll's got the law with him. He'd have us stopped.
Won't you please go away before we're seen talking to you?
Why is Jekyll so determined to keep you here as workers in these fields? Why is he treating you like this?
Please.
Mary, they won't go till we tell them. I'll tell you why we can't get away. Then you've got to go before you're caught. I don't know how you got in past the guard, but I pray you'll get out. You see, Jekyll makes counterfeit money. He gives sanctuary to fugitives from justice in the States. Gets them to pass the money for him.
He wanted you to do that?
He thought we were real crooks when he made the proposition. It is all the men from San Antonio and I. We turned him down. So he ordered his men to work us in the fields.
Now look at us. We've had the heart and spirit beat out of us.
He sees to it that none of us have strength enough to make trouble for him.
But the law...
Jekyll is rich and powerful. He's bigger than any law around here.
Why did you come here in the first place?
We were told that Jekyll would give us jobs.
Mayor, there he comes. It's Jekyll himself.
Oh, he sees you.
Who's with him?
It's Butch Lochran, the toughest of his overseers. And he's got his whip with him. Oh, why did you come here?
They ready for trouble, Tonto?
Me ready.
Well, Martin, you have visitors. An Indian and a masked man.
Oh, Mr. Jekyll,
He didn't invite us here, Jekyll.
You keep your hands where they are, and I won't have to shoot. Take his gun, Butch, and the mask.
Don't try it, Butch.
No?
No. Some guards at the gate had the same idea. You'll find them wrapped in ropes.
Smart, huh? Well, there are ways to cure that.
For example, this whip.
You shouldn't have done that.
Hey, me take him.
Let go.
Tonto leaped at Jekyll and grabbed the gun as the Lone Ranger took Butch's whip with one hand and slapped the overseer with the other.
That's a start.
I'll kill you for that.
And here's another.
Why, you...
You'll never get off this place alive. You'll pay for this.
I'll take that gun, Butch. What about Jekyll's gun, Tonto?
me got it.
Tie his hands behind his back.
No. Fix him. No, my arm.
Take him with us. When his hands are tied, put him on your horse. You'll have to ride double. As for you, Butch, on your feet.
I'll kill you for this. And you, Martin, you just wait.
I have something to say to you. Jekyll is going with us. Whatever you do to Martin or anyone else around here will be passed on tenfold to Jekyll. You'd better see that Martin is not punished in any way, because Jekyll won't like it. Remember that when you wake up.
When I wake up?
Yes!
Oh! Lifted him clear off his feet with that blow.
You handle Jekyll, Tonto?
He got him on horse, ready to go.
You think you can get away with this?
We're going to try. Easy, steady, big fella. On your way, Tonto. I'll follow behind you.
Get him up, Scout.
Man, that's the kind of fighting man you used to be.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger adventure. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue. After capturing Jekyll, the Lone Ranger and Tonto went to a well-concealed camp where they waited until the following morning. Soon after sunrise, the Lone Ranger left Tonto to guard the captive while he rode to the nearby town. In that town, the chief official was a sincere, hard-working man named Don Jose Amando. Don Jose was in a gay mood and was quite unprepared for the surprise that awaited him when he unlocked his office door.
Morning, senor.
You-
Please close the door and sit down.
Masked. What does this mean?
Please sit down at your desk.
How did you get through the locked door?
The lock on your door is superior to the lock on your window.
But, senor...
You've heard of Don Carlos?
Don Carlos, see, he is an important man.
He'll be very pleased to know that you're willing to help me and help Mexico at the same time.
To help you. Indeed, senor, you entered my office...
Please listen to me, Don Jose. I must ask another question. You know Senor Jekyll?
Oh, yes, he is a great man. Very wealthy.
He's a crook, and he's my prisoner.
No, that must not be. He must be released at once.
Don Jose, have you heard that counterfeit money is being circulated in Mexico?
Yes,
Jekyll is the one who makes it in his castle.
Jekyll? Oh, I cannot believe this.
You will take your men and go with authority to search the castle. You will find proof. I am sure of it.
But if I go and find no proof, I would be the ruined man. No, I cannot risk the anger of Senor Jekyll.
I was afraid of that. Don Jose, to capture the counterfeiters would make you a great man. You would be promoted. You would be honored.
But I know only what you say. I have no proof of anything.
If I could bring you proof that Jekyll is a crook, a counterfeiter, and the leader of a gang, what then?
Oh, senor. Then you would see Don Jose Amando act with the rurales.
I'll see what I can do. If I get proof, I'll send you word. And so you'll know the message comes from me, I'll send you a bullet like this.
A bullet, senor?
Yes, it's made of silver. If you show it to Don Carlos, he'll tell you that I'm on the side of the law. After leaving Don Jose contemplating the silver bullet, the Lone Ranger hurried to the camp where Tonto stood guard over Jekyll. Oh, Silver. Oh, easy, steady, big fella. How's the prisoner behaving, Tonto?
Him plenty quiet. Yes, I've been quiet. But I have something to say to you, mister. You can't get away with this. You'll be killed for capturing me.
I knew that was a risk before I came to Mexico.
Cut these ropes. Let me go, and I'll overlook what you've done.
Move with the horses, Tonto. I want to get some clothing from the saddlebags.
You'll never get away with this. I have some influential friends in Mexico. You'll find that out.
Saddlebags hang on the tree. Here, horses.
In town, I call him the head of the police. He'll come to the Jekyll Ranch if I can get proof that Jekyll is a counterfeiter.
Him trust you?
He will after he talks to Don Carlos.
And what you do now?
I've got to get back to the Jekyll Ranch.
Well, what about guards at gate? Him watch for you.
I notice that peons go in and out undisturbed. I'll disguise myself as a peon. Make a bundle of my own clothes. I'll take them with me. Then I want you to do this. Now listen. Traveling on foot, disguised as a peon with a bundle on his back, the Lone Ranger had no difficulty getting through the gate in the high fence that surrounded Jekyll's ranch. Later that morning, Matt Martin was working with a hoe breaking hard ground. He paid no attention to the man who worked at his side until he heard a low voice. It was not the voice of a peon. Martin, don't give any sign that you know me.
But you...
Steady. Don't look up. Keep your eyes down. Keep hoeing.
You stirred up a hornet's nest in this place when you captured Jekyll. You had nerve to come back. How did you get in?
No one paid any attention to a poor peon. I brought my other clothing with me. It's in that shed near your house.
Yeah, but why?
Matt, I've got to get proof that Jekyll is a counterfeiter. Tangible proof.
I don't know any more than I told you yesterday.
Hey, you!
The overseer. Now you're in for it. He's coming this way.
You am I talking to? What are you doing here?
I'm breaking the ground, senor.
You peons was told to stay in your own section.
My memory, she's so poor I forget.
Forget, huh? Oh. Maybe that'll help you remember. Now get where you belong, or I'll lay this whip across your back.
Si, senor, I go at once.
Well, what are you looking at?
Oh, nothing.
You keep a-working, or I'll forget Butch's orders and brush you with a whip.
In his disguise, the Lone Ranger shuffled away from Matt Martin, and when the overseer wasn't looking, approached another of the fugitives from San Antonio.
Now, listen to me, Peterson.
You are not a peon?
No, I'm here to help you. I want proof that Jekyll's a counterfeiter. Where can I get it?
I don't know. I don't know anything. No one can help me. Go away.
Time after time, the Lone Ranger approached one of the men from Texas.
Me?
On several occasions, he was caught by the overseer.
Get over where you belong.
Oh!
He was slapped and lashed by cruel whips.
Let this be a lesson not to forget.
Please, blamed from countless blows, but this was nothing compared to the mental torture. There were times when he trembled from the suppressed urge to abandon his role as a humble peon and strike back at the bullying overseers.
This is twice I warned you. This time I'll make sure you don't forget. Oh!
It was nearly dark when the bell rang. Men and women put away their tools and moved toward their homes with dragging, weary footsteps. Tonto heard the bell, and acting on the Lone Ranger's orders, he waited half an hour, then made sure Jekyll was securely tied and leaped to the saddle to ride to Jose Amando. Later that night, the men from Texas crowded into Martin's small cabin. The Lone Ranger had requested Matt to call them together.
He'll be here in a minute, boys. I think I hear someone outside.
Yeah. Buddy, he's masked.
Who's that? Boys, that's the man you talked to.
I got rid of the peon's clothing. Now listen to me, men. I spoke to each one of you. You know that I was trying to learn something about Jekyll. Late this afternoon, when I thought I was going to fail, I heard one of the overseers talking. I learned that Jekyll makes his counterfeit money in a room in the tower.
Why don't you tell the law that?
By this time, lawmen are on their way, and they're counting on proof when they arrive. But they'll not enter that house to get it.
Tell them what you've learned.
They'll not risk offending a man of Jekyll's power and wealth by entering that house. Unless they know, they'll see proof when they get there. Proof that Jekyll's a counterfeiter. We've got to get that proof.
Well, it can't be done. There's no use talking to us.
Can't you see what it means to you?
Can't help
It means you'll throw off Jekyll's grip. You'll be free to go home to Texas, to start living again. We've got to attack and fight our way to the tower to get evidence against Jekyll.
We can't fight, mister. We've got no weapon. There's no fight left in us.
I remember a day in Bryant's Basin. You men were up against big odds. You ran out of ammunition, but you didn't quit. You fought with sticks and stones and bare fists. You showed a pack of crooks what Texas men were like when they got fighting mad.
Yes, I remember.
This is your one chance for freedom, your last chance. Another year like the last one will find most of you dead. The governor of Texas has given all of you a pardon. Your homes are waiting back in San Antonio. Must I go back and tell the governor, tell your friends, that Texas men were afraid of Jekyll's crooks?
But we've got no weapon.
That's a poor excuse. The men in the Alamo complain about the odds. What do you think descendants of those men would say if they were here?
The Alamo, I remember.
Jekyll's men have weapons. Let's use those. Let's take their whips and guns away from them. I, for one, would like to show a couple of those crooks what it feels like to be whipped. Well, how about it, Matt?
Well,
You, Peterson.
I'd sure like a chance at Butch.
Every one of you has a lot to repay.
Boys, I'm going with him. I'd rather die fighting than be worked and beat to death.
That's the talk, Matt. What about the rest of you?
Count me in. Me too.
How about you others?
Remember the Alamo, boys. You fellas remember Bryant's Basin, don't you? Remember that rebel yell we used? I remember it. And here's it goes.
Your hoes and spades are outside. They'll do until you take some weapons from the others. I have 2 guns to lead the way.
Come on, open that door, boys. Let's get going.
Follow me!
It seemed that superhuman strength inspired the men from San Antonio. They remembered Bryant's Basin, they remembered the rebel yell, and they remembered the Alamo. The heritage of fighting men had not been entirely beaten down. They stormed the castle. The Lone Ranger was at the door. 2 shots broke the lock. The door slammed open, and the masked man leaped into a great hall where Butch and several of the others had gathered.
Bring your guns on the boys!
Not that gun!
Take away the guns! Show them that we're men from Texas! Show them that we're not licked yet! Come on!
It was a furious battle in the hall. Hoes and rakes and clubs were swung with frenzied power. And from time to time, the masked man's guns barked to keep one of the outlaws from bringing his own gun into play.
Make your way to the tower!
The outlaws had never faced such fury and determination. They fell back, retreating toward the stairs, but the Texans kept advancing.
Come on, clear the stairs, boys! We gotta get to the tower! The polecats over the railing!
Through it all, the masked man watched for guns. As fast as one of Jekyll's men produced a firearm, the Lone Ranger snapped a shot.
We're nearly there. Keep going.
Step by step, those men advanced. Then the way ahead was clear. They stormed into the tower room, tore open boxes and cases.
The law's waiting down below. Throw everything out the window.
Here's the printing machine. Here's a lot of fake money.
Throw it down to Don Jose.
When Jose saw the evidence, he and his men lost no time. They rushed into the castle and captured the members of the outlaw band, most of whom were badly beaten and unconscious.
To you, senor with the mask, we are deeply indebted.
It's these men from Texas who made tonight's work possible.
We have them all, including the guards from the gate. All but the leader, Senor Jekyll himself.
Jekyll will be brought here, and so will my horse when we ring the bell.
When Tonto heard the big bell sound in the night, he broke camp and brought Jekyll and Silver to the castle. Jekyll's men had all recovered consciousness. They were a sorry outfit as they stood in the moonlight with their hands and feet bound. The Lone Ranger stood beside his great horse Silver. He was preparing to mount when Jose Amando spoke.
I told your friends, senor, the men from Texas, to help themselves to horses.
I know you did, Jose. They told me.
Also, I wish to say, senor, I spoke to Don Carlos about you. I showed him the bullet of silver, and he told me...
Look, Jose. The people over by the shack. They're ready to leave. They're not even going to wait till morning.
You're all set, folks. Let's get moving. We're going home to San Antonio.
Oh, senor, they owe much to you. The government of Mexico owes much to you. And I too shall be promoted. And I owe that to you.
Adios, Jose. Easy, steady, big fella. We meet again. Let's go, Tonto. Come on, Silver!
I owe that masked man something, too. I owe him plenty.
Oh, yes, Senor Jekyll. You can think of that debt while you are in jail.
Who is he?
He, senor, he is the Lone Ranger.
Adios, Silver!
This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated. created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Enterprises, and directed by Charles D. Livingston. Tonight's drama was written by Fran Stryker. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com, and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate this episode within your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to OTRWesterns.com/Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to OTRWesterns.com/YouTube. Become one of our ranch hands and unlock some exclusive content. We want to thank the following ranch hand, Steve, who joined us recently. You too can join by going to OTRWesterns.com/donate. Send us an email, podcast@OTRWesterns.com, and you can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyright under the attribution, non-commercial, share-alike copyright. For more information, go to OTRWesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.